Hi, and welcome to another episode of Fave Five From Fans, the podcast where we explore all things favorite. I'm your host, Jamie Ray. Sorry, it's still me. And today we have once again zooming in from across the great expanse of the Mississippi River is your friend and mine, photographer extraordinaire, Mr. David M. Welcome back to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me, Jamie.
Oh, damn, you're so handsome. Why do you have to every time you come on the show you make me ring the bell.
Hey, that's everybody's favorite character whenever they watch that movie, though.
I don't know. I kind of like the girl that, well, anyway. Um how you doing, sir?
Doing good, man. Been really, really busy, which I'm normally not.
Yeah, and are you able to talk about that when we go into the break?
Yes,
Or is it still zipped up?
I can talk about my involvement.
Okay, that's cool. Well, you're gonna ooh, what are they talking about? You're gonna have to wait to find out.
Hmm.
But what are we talking about today? Once
Today
again,
we are
David,
sorry.
no, it's okay. Once again, David has come on and taken over the show. He wants to have more episodes than Mark Sino. And you know what? He's well on his way. We've already done a complete disarray episode. We've got another one on the books. We've got two or three already scheduled. We're just rocking and rolling. So bravo to you, sir. Beat him.
Thank you very
Beat him.
much.
Yeah. So today's episode topic you came up with, and I absolutely loved it. So before we dive in, why don't you tell us what we're going to be talking about today?
So we're going to be doing the original idea was we were going to do squad movies, specifically squad movies.
Hmm?
And as I was diving down the rabbit hole of what I consider to be a squad movie, I realized that it was a wider genre than I realized when I
Yeah.
started going over like my history of movies that I really, really liked. And it wasn't until I watched was like, hey, this is actually a squad movie. I'm like, this counts. Oh, I have to redo my list now completely. But I had a list. I had a whole list and it was ready to go. And I had to completely scrap it.
Oh, sorry. I mean, yeah, that's bad. So before we dive in, what do you consider a squad?
So my version of a squad movie, or at least my interpretation of what a squad movie is that you have at least two or more people, preferably three at least, who
I
all
think
serve
three.
an yeah, who all serve an integral part of accomplishing a goal. So, and yes, typically, I mean, I think two is just a duo, but yeah. So for a squad, you got to have three or more that all have an actual job, not just a gaggle of people that are together, but an actual everybody's a cog and it's a machine.
Okay, that's exactly where I was. Just as long as the number, I actually kind of set a minimum of four, but three or more works. So we're right on the same page.
Okay.
So I think instead of us talking so much about how beautiful you are and what an awesome room you have behind you with that little spinning thing, is that new?
Yeah. So
Mhm.
updates to my studio is that I added a Destiny shelf because I'm going to start streaming Destiny soon. And then I
Ah,
moved my Halo shelf to the bottom where you can't see it. And I
uh-huh.
made my ramen cat more visible. And then I added
And
a Mass Effect setup right here.
oh, okay. And you've pretty much settled on a name for this room, right?
Yeah, but I can't remember what it is. So I'd love it if you could remind me.
Okay, we'll have to go back to, to that episode to see. I had thought, oh, you said it was like the Cave of Destiny or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that
yeah.
is it. It's the Cave of Destiny.
Yeah, yeah. See, can't remember my anniversary, but I got that one down.
Don't tell your wife that. I think she likes me. I don't want her to hate me.
Uh, well, all right. Well, why don't we go ahead? You take a swallow there. Um, so why don't we go ahead then and just jump right into our honorable mentions? Though I hesitate to ask how many honorable mentions you happen to have.
Well, you see, Jamie,
Oh, God.
one of your most recent episodes, you said it was me who had over 20. And I was like, I've never done that.
Not one
Mm-mm.
that has come out yet. It's there in you. I know it's coming.
Yeah, no, no.
Just like
See, it always
foretelling the
was, but
future.
I held back because I
Uh-huh.
wanted to be a good example. But then you said it was me, and I have a thing. You accuse me of the crime, and I do the time for it. I'm going to do the crime. So now,
Here it comes.
so now I have two honorable mentions,
What?
except
Just
that each
two?
honorable. Oh yeah, definitely. But you're going to
Mm-hmm.
love this.
Okay.
My first honorable mention is starting with Joss Whedon's 2011 The Avengers, which means I have several.
Okay. That's okay.
Now
Lay them
that's
out.
certain, yeah. So that's certainly a squad movie.
Yes, it
It
is.
is. It is not my favorite, controversially speaking. My favorite one's Age of Ultron.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
and so, but I mean, obviously that's a squad movie. Everybody
Yeah.
serves their role to the point where you have so specific of a job. You know, you've got Iron Man, who's the tech guy. You've got Captain America, who's effectively their quarterback. You have the Hulk, who's their tank. So, you know, everybody's got a very specific job, even the humans who don't have super suits. So,
Right.
you know, you can't think modern day squad movie without thinking a movie that has so many members they can't all fit into one film.
Right.
So you've got that going for you. Now, my favorite one is Age of Ultron
Okay.
because James Spader is one of my favorite actors of
Uh,
all time. He is one of the most capable malevolent actors. When he did The Blacklist, he could
yes.
he could weave like a tapestry going in between dark and malevolent yet sweet and light-hearted, and he can do it with just the tone of his voice.
Mhm.
Like, I wish that somebody would give him the opportunity to voice a Batman character, because
Oh,
I have no doubt that he would be able to pull off a performance that very few people are capable of. And he's also got a diction to him that I've always found fascinating because he's very articulate in every way. You hear
right.
every single edge of every single syllable he wants you to hear. And it's so very specific. And it's one of the reasons why I think as Ultron, he was wonderful. I think that and in that movie, his character was so broad and so dangerous that you needed a bigger team that at the time really didn't know what to do with one another, you know? So, not to belabor it, but that is my first honorable mention.
Okay.
Now, number two,
Number two.
uh-huh, number all right, Beavis. Um, so number two is I'm trying to emulate you here, is Brian De Palma's 1996 Mission Impossible.
Okay. The very first one.
Mm-hmm. Now,
Okay.
that's the start, but it's not my favorite one. That's
Okay.
now that's
Not
the
your
that's
favorite
the
movie, or it's not your favorite squad.
so this is just an honorable mention. I loved these group of movies, and this is one of the reasons why it's not actually on my list. There were too many.
Yeah.
However, in the face of this, I wasn't a huge fan of the first movie. However,
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams took over in 2006 with Mission Impossible 3,
Hmm.
and that got it started.
I notice how you jump right over Mission Impossible 2.
You're right. Anyway,
Vroom, 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 vroom. Oh, look, a dove.
John Woo did his thing hard with you
Yeah.
know,
It was a
there's
great
a
John Woo movie.
it was a great
I'll say
John
that.
Woo movie.
It
But
was not a good Mission
I think
Impossible.
you were too old to be caught in the crossfire of this tech catastrophe. But
Hmm.
Mission Impossible 2 is the reason that Napster was taken down.
Okay, please give me. I love these facts.
So the song that caused Metallica to go fire and brimstone against Napster was
Okay.
the song I Disappear for the soundtrack of Mission Impossible 2.
Okay. Okay. I remember that song.
That song was made for specifically for Mission Impossible 2. and it was put on Napster after it was released on VH1 and MTV.
Okay.
And that was the thing that started the whole shtick. And that could have been, now you're right, it is. Look, it's a great film if you stand it by itself. It's a great film by itself because you had such a
Not
great
in the
cast.
universe. Is that what you're saying? Not in the Mission Impossible universe. If it was just a good,
Correct.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
agree.
And well, it's nothing like any of the other ones.
No.
Nothing at all. The first one, my least favorite. Now, it had
So it
Anthony
did
Hopkins.
follow. I'm sorry, I hate to keep interrupting you.
You're good, dude.
So it does it the first one did follow the formula
Mm-hmm.
very well
Yeah,
till it got to the end.
for
But
sure.
the execution just wasn't there.
It was too dry for
Yeah.
me, just personally. It was just a too dry of a movie. It relied
Except for the
too
restaurant
much.
scene.
That was really cool.
It
That
was.
was really cool. I did dig that. That was a very surprising moment. I
Hey,
remember
look, we found Nemo. Um,
oh, well, my dad was telling me the first movie is the one that was the most like the TV show.
Yeah, it really was. It had that same feel to it because the whole thing about it. Again, God, let's do a Mission Impossible show. Was that each episode was very compartmentalized.
Mhm.
So you got the gang together and you got the mission and you then try to do the mission and then most of the time something goes wrong and then you have to pivot and then sometimes the person that you thought was the bad guy wasn't the bad guy. So they they filmed and laid that out like a Mission Impossible episode,
You make it sound kind of
which
like Scooby Doo with less sandwiches.
it was, and no masks. Oh no, that's true. They do have masks. Um, but I think you were saying that the J.J. Abrams and number three was when it really hit its stride,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that one was a great reintroduction of the series
Mm-hmm.
to people, and then two was an experiment. Um, that I won't mention. And then three, boom, they hit their stride, you know? So yeah, I totally, they are a great squad. So which of the movies squad is your favorite? Because they have different people that come and go. There is a
So
core group.
that's the thing. Well, there's a core individual,
Mhm.
and there's one constant individual. Everybody else changes over time, and that's Ving Rhames.
Mhm.
Everybody else changes. He's in the
Even
first one.
Simon Pegg,
He doesn't show up until so
like
technically
four or
he's not.
five.
Well, he shows up in three, but he's
Okay,
a tech guy,
right.
and he doesn't get into the field until I think four.
Yeah, he's in the van in three,
Yeah.
right?
Well, no,
Like,
no, no.
yeah.
He's in the van in four.
Oh,
He's in
okay.
the he's in the off. He's the guy in the chair in three. I think he's in the
Okay.
van in four, and then he's field agent in five.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I like that
Uh,
because it's kind of a progression. And I love Simon
yeah.
Pegg.
Oh yeah, no, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think of all of them, my favorite one is probably Ghost Protocol, where they brought in Jeremy Renner.
Oh yeah.
He was fantastic. I really hate that they didn't continue to utilize him. I
Hmm.
feel like Jeremy Renner always gets kind of pushed aside for one thing or another. I think he did great in the Bourne movie he did. And they didn't use him for that. He ended up not returning in a Mission Impossible. Like he always plays great characters, and for one reason or another, he's just always outshined by the Matt Damons and the Tom Cruises.
You might almost say he just sometimes doesn't hit the mark. Wah, wah.
I was like, I don't know if I would say that to him.
Oh, he can't really
uh,
shoot the bow anyway, so I'm not worried. He's not behind me, is he?
Look, he gets my respect because the dude jumped in front of a snowplow.
This
That's
is true. This
like
is
the dude gets
this
my
is
respect
very true.
forever. Yeah. I do not have the balls for that, sir. You have my undying respect forever. If you ever hear this, Mr. Renner, and also I'm sorry for this podcast.
Oh, he's a
Uh,
huge fan of the show.
sure, no doubt. But yes,
Okay.
so
All right.
my
So
two
we
honorable
are missing.
mentions are, I think, in a total of, if you include all of them, my honorable mentions stack up to 11 honorable mentions.
You'd have had to take your shoes off to finish counting that. I'm good.
I am the only Asian who cannot do math, but I can
All right, not
reach.
gonna go there. Okay. Well, I actually have two honorable mentions as well. I did notice, and of course, this is just the beginning, but I did notice that both of your squads were action oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we could both agree that squads don't necessarily have to be rootin' tootin' shoot 'em up gangs. They can be just normal people. They can be, young kids who go out and have an adventure, or they can even be four ladies in their golden years living together in a house. I'm talking about Blanche, Rose, Dorothy, and Sophia, the Golden Girls. Shout out to TGen because I know you love them.
Are you breaking your own rules by doing a show on a movie episode?
Yes, it's an honorable mention.
Okay.
You can do it in the honorable mentions.
Okay. I see. That's different.
Yeah, no,
I didn't
that's
know
the whole.
that.
Yeah, for honorable mentions, you can name something that you really couldn't put in the list of five, or that was really so memorable that you had to mention it.
Okay.
So that's what I did. So
All
I'm
right.
mentioning
Well,
them right now. And I'm going to throw my other honorable mention in that goes across TVs, movies, and even animated series. And I'm talking about the squad for me is all of the red shirts from Star Trek. Because you really want to surround yourself with people who are going to lay their lives down for you. And moment of silence, that's what the red shirts do.
you know,
Peace.
Riker was a red shirt the entire time, right?
Yeah, but they don't count that because Riker was was an officer in the red, which was but back in the red shirts were security, and those were the people who were going down and getting turned into salt cubes and then crushed, or getting the touch from the salt vampire. Gosh, both of those things had to do with salt. Oh, just noticing that. But that's who I'm talking about, the red shirts. Thank you, gentlemen. Back to you, Mr. David. What is your fifth favorite movie squad?
Okay, so my fifth favorite is going to be Steven Soderbergh's 2001 remake, Ocean's 11.
Okay, this is a movie that a lot of people like.
It is. It's all right. So a lot of these movies have big casts, so I made notes.
Okay,
All
that's
right.
great.
So this one starred George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Bernie Mac, Matt Damon, Casey Affleck, Julia Roberts, and others. That's an intense list of people, man.
Right.
And I never saw the first movie, but I do remember seeing basically every big celebrity at the time and wondering which one was supposed to be the actor.
Okay.
Because weren't they all singers?
In the original ones?
Yeah.
No, no, no. They all that I could be wrong, but it was pretty much like it was in the remake where they all had different skill sets. Now, what you may be thinking of is that at least three of the actors in the original ones were singers. They were
That's
from
what I
the Rat
mean.
Pack.
That's
Yeah.
what I mean.
But
That's
okay,
like,
but their characters were
right.
not.
That's what I'm
Okay,
saying.
I'm
Like, I,
sorry.
I remember the actors being singers, and I'm like, where are the actors?
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that was the whole thing. That's why they, the Rat Pack, because they all had staple shows on
Yeah.
the Las Vegas Strip at the time. Um
Okay.
so yeah, yeah. So do you have a favorite person from the movies, the favorite character of that squad? Because I do right away when you said that.
Jen.
Is that the guy who like folds himself up? Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
him. That's the one I like.
My favorite one. He was my favorite one because he was the one who was always the most contemptuous of everybody else. He just didn't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Besides him, though, I liked Rusty. I think I told you before, I always identify the most with the characters who eat And
Yes.
it was one of my favorite things that Rusty was just always snacking. And I remember vividly after watching that movie wanting shrimp cocktails so much because he wouldn't stop eating them. And then he would eat he ate Italian shaved ice. And when I went to Vegas last year, I was like, I need to get an Italian shaved ice now. I'm here.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, but no, yeah, definitely Jen and Rusty were my two favorite characters. And I just love how much Danny Ocean, played by George Clooney, just got shit on the whole time. I just, there's everybody gave him the business. And I just, you know what I mean? Because I love it because George Clooney is so revered in real life, and that's fine. But I just, in this movie, no one respected him. Not at
No,
all.
no, no.
And he was the de facto, he was the leader, and everybody just kind of was just like, uh-huh. Anyway.
All right. I dig that. I think that, and that's kind of core group stayed throughout the movies.
Mm-hmm.
So they got their use out of those guys.
Don Cheadle. Okay. I forgot to mention him by name, but I
Okay.
also, funny thing, connecting the first to the third movie, Don
Okay.
Cheadle's accent as an Englishman was so horrid that they reference it in the third film when he reads a dialect book to perfect a southern accent. But like they literally made fun of themselves because they're like, yeah, his accent as an Englishman was really bad. Sorry, guys.
I don't remember that one. Is that Ocean's 13?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
That was the one with
hilarious.
Al Pacino.
That is the way to take a a bad mark and make it a good mark.
I thought
I
so.
love that. Bravo
Right.
to them. Bravo to them. Well, all right. Well, I guess I'm going to have to parry that one with a very strong group, um, and of some actiony pow 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 people. I am going to choose the Lady Squad from Gunpowder Milkshake.
Knew it. I knew you
Hmm
were gonna say that one.
that's like one of my new favorite movies. I'm going to be sad when it stops streaming. I'm going to have to go and buy it somewhere, but I could just throw that movie on and just let it go. The whole thing where Sam, her hands get get numbed. It's almost silly. There's an old Carol Burnett skit where Tim Conway actually accidentally sticks himself in the leg, and I think he sticks himself in a hand. He's a dentist, and he's like the world's worst dentist. And so remembering that as a kid and seeing this, in the movie, just it brings back. But you've got Sam, and then you've got her mom, Scarlett, and then you have the three librarians, which are Anna May, Florence, and Madeline. And that's the Carla Gugino character,
Okay.
the little librarian that's got with the ask Everett, he knows.
I've never
Um,
actually seen the movie. I just remember you two talking about it.
Oh, you should. It's a real fun thrill ride. I love a good movie, and I hope this doesn't sound sexist to the probably three ladies that listen to the show. I love a good movie when they can make strong female characters that also keep their femininity and aren't just um, Rambo with boobs, you know? And all five of those ladies had yeah, you're never going to get that picture out of your head. Um, all had their own way of coming across. Of course, Madeline for me was like I said, you look at her and automatically. But they were all badasses, you know? And badass in a way that you could almost you could kind of I don't want to say believe because there's a lot of going on in that movie that couldn't really happen. But like the fighting that Angela Bassett's character Aunt May did, Anna May, she used stuff around her, like she'd use a chain and she'd use I think a fire extinguisher and a fire axe and all of that stuff to fight these guys that were much bigger than her. which is smart. I mean, that's what someone who has a lesser status would want to do, would be to, game up. So if I would tell you to put it on one day and just kind of have it going. And if it doesn't suck you in like the first 10 or 15 minutes, turn it off.
It's usually what I
But
do.
I think you're going to watch it and I think you're going to be happy.
I intended to watch this. I just haven't gotten around to it because I've literally left the state 3 times in the last 2 weeks.
I know, crazy. So crazy. Um, all right. So why don't we bounce back and now hear your fourth favorite movie squad?
All right, number 4, 2009, Quentin Tarantino, Inglorious Bastards.
Okay. Good pull. Good pull. What's the guy? What's Eli Roth's character?
They call him the Bear Jew.
The bear. That's it.
So this is a role that I think was kind of my first time seeing Brad Pitt in this kind of a role. Not that he hadn't done action roles or before, but he'd never played anybody that had like old man grit. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So between this and Fury, which to me kind of were like the same character, uh, but I love this movie. It's kind of like a historical fantasy. Because at the end of this one, Hitler dies. But I loved so much about this movie. So much about this movie. Christopher Waltz was the best villain. Oh
He
my God, he
really
was such a
is.
good villain. And he is such a sweetheart in real life. When you see him in interviews and stuff, he's so jovial, you know. And did you ever see oh my God, I can't remember the name of it.
The series on like where he's the consultant.
No. It's something it's a movie that's got a girl with a cybernetic body. It's like
Ex
a
Machina.
no. I know. So you're in the right direction. It's like Anita something or
Oh,
Alita.
Alita Battle Angel.
Yes,
I saw
he
that for the
is.
first time. He's so good in that.
He's so good, but he is the nicest person in that movie, and they
Yeah.
are like two ends of a spectrum. But
Hmm.
like, let's just stick with his body of work with Quentin Tarantino. When he did Django, he was so jovial and happy and polite and silly, kind of.
Yeah.
And then in Inglorious Bastards, he is terrifying.
But he's very gentlemanly like until he's no longer, I mean, like you would think you could sit down and have tea and biscuits with him.
I mean, they have white collar criminals now, so yeah.
Yeah, there you
It's
go.
like it's kind of what he was. He was a white collar mass murderer.
Well, I would tell you if you really like him to find the consultant. I want to say it was maybe on Amazon. Um, he does a real, and it's one of these movies where I mean these series that at least when it gets to the end, you have all the answers you have all the answers you need, not all of the answers that you want to know.
Makes sense.
And it's just his performance is, you know, and he's got equal parts of that really not nice, but that really soft-spoken professional to is he a serial killer
Right.
type vibes. So
Okay.
yeah,
Well, that
that's a
makes
great
sense. I'll check that
great
out
point.
too.
I like
Jamie, you
that.
give me so much to do with so little time that I have available.
Well, just watch it while you're driving. I mean, that's totally safe.
I'll put it on the iPad while I'm working, sir.
Yeah, cops do it, right? I mean, I always see they have their computers open. They're probably paying. I don't know. Anyway, uh,
That's good.
all right. Well, I am going to discuss a group that we may have already taxed, a squad called the Avengers. It's a match. It's a
Is that what we're doing?
yeah,
It's a match.
it's a match.
It's a match.
But I am instead going to choose the Avenger squad from Infinity War. Is that it?
I don't know. You tell
Yes,
me.
yeah, it is Infinity War, and I say that because if anybody knows me, I'm a huge Captain America fan. Okay,
Okay.
And after the snap, um, the world changed in such a way, and it changed the people that were left. Captain America not being um, left out of that group, and so he goes around. He doesn't wear the mask anymore, the helmet anymore, and he's just changed. He's someone who stays in the shadow. He's trying to right the wrongs because he feels like he could have saved the world from this problem, even though he couldn't have. Um, Thor could have, but that's another topic. Um, yeah, Thor could have gone for the head instead of the body and would have ended Infinities. Would have killed Thanos.
I think you're thinking about Endgame.
Oh, I am. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, because I was the Infinity War was where yeah, it was where all, the snap happened and everybody disappeared and all of that
Yeah,
stuff.
but
Yeah, the Infinity War is where he's like got that blue cool, they call it the Secret War uniform.
yeah. So so his in at the end of Civil War, he gives up the mask.
Hmm.
Uh, Actually, he gets rid of the mask when in Age of Ultron. Um, and then he gets rid of the there's a deleted scene where he sees a graphic of himself wearing the mask and it calls him a Nazi.
Oh yeah.
And so he ditches the mask. And I don't know if that was Civil War or Age of Ultron, but gets rid of it
I bet you it's Age
before.
of Ultron.
I think it is because that's when they go to Sokovia.
Yeah.
And when all of that happens. So in Civil War is when he gives up the shield.
Yes.
And that's in his
Because
Secret
Tony's daddy
War.
made it.
Correct. And
Hmm.
the Secret War uniform is just his Civil War uniform, battle damage without a star on it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
So I'm looking at it
supposed to be
here.
Secret Wars.
It's Infinity War.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. Okay.
But yeah,
Um,
he comes back after the snap and he's doing what's it called? Group therapy
Pilates.
in
What?
game.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Um, all right. Well, let us bounce back. You get you a sip of water and tell me what your third favorite squad is.
All right. My third favorite squad is Rogue One,
Hmm.
2016 by Gareth Edwards.
They were on my short list. They if I'd have done a David and had three honorable mentions, I bet you it would have been on my list.
A
Please,
David. Oh
please
no.
tell me, tell me, tell me why.
So it's my favorite Star Wars movie of all
Hmm.
of them. Out of all of the Star Wars movies, it is my favorite, which is ironic because it doesn't have my favorite thing, which is the lightsabers.
Oh, it
Um,
does. At the very end, it does.
yeah, that's true.
Vader saber.
Um, well, yeah, so that it does then. So I think that this movie captured everything that as an adult I had hoped to have gotten from other Star Wars stuff. There was previous to this, there was nothing that felt gritty and real. Everything was fantastical. Everything was over the top. And it's a space drama. I get it. I understand. But
Mm.
every now and then, when you have these big properties, you want something that grounds you. You want something that gets you back to reality, even a little bit. And this movie felt so real.
Oh,
The,
real.
the emotions felt real. I mean, the acting was superb, no doubt about that, but the writing was incredible. Forrest Whitaker's character as like the godfather from a distance who happens to be a mob boss and a rebellious nature who's essentially a terrorist. There is no rebellion to speak of. There's a resistance, kinda,
Kinda,
and
yeah.
then the spiritual leader of what is going to become the rebellion is the daughter of the architect of the Death Star.
Hmm.
These are things that the Force couldn't do that Fate did. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that's kind of one of the things where they didn't rely on something as nebulous and hopeful as the Force. They gave they gave Fate the structure to create a very compelling story. And it felt like the kind of story that you would read in a historical document about a real war. And so that is one of the things that I found so fascinating was like it was the most spiritually realistic Star Wars story I had ever heard.
I am one with the Force, and the Force is one with
Oh
me.
my God, that was just oh
That mantra.
oh my God. And that right there, it's one of those walk with faith, not by sight things. And it was so powerful. Without the presence of the force still made itself known, which I thought
Right.
was wonderful. They wouldn't leave it out, but you never were given the force. You just had to believe in it.
Yeah.
And you were gripping, you were white knuckling the chair, hoping that he made it, you know? And the whole thing is everything in that movie is done by faith. Everything. No, nobody thought the force was on their side except for that one person.
Hmm.
And that's one of the things that I thought was wonderful was it didn't rely on something as nebulous as the force. No one had any confidence that they were going to get the job done, but they were going to do it anyway because it was the
Right.
right thing to do. I remember every single Star Wars movie, there is an air of confidence that everyone had to some degree that they were going to win. No one ever really thought for a moment that they were going to win, even though they have to.
You know how the story ends too, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things that I find so funny is at the beginning of this movie, they're going to get the job done. That's the point of the movie. You know what I mean? Like, so for them to deliver so much doubt, that was to me one of the more interesting ways that they presented the story is they gave you a story you knew where they went,
Right.
and they spend the entire movie convincing you they're going to lose. Wow. Right?
Yeah.
What a way to make an underdog out of somebody already holds the trophy.
Yeah.
And also,
Great.
I got my favorite droid of all time in that movie.
So the next time, and I'm gonna have to get you the next time we go down to New Orleans, they have what's the droid's name again?
No
K,
idea. I just know it's Alan Tudyk.
yeah, KZMZ. Um, and what?
I got to show you. I have from Comic Con but back when it was Wizard World. I have a 4-piece portraiture of all of
Oh
my
yeah.
favorite droids of Star Wars, and he
Uh-huh.
is the first one in it.
Yeah. So my buddy's over at the 501st. There's a gentleman, I believe his name is Nick. I'm almost positive it is. But he has 3D printed a life-size version. Yeah, I see that. Of this droid. And
Thing's like
they
8 feet tall.
uh-huh.
Oh my!
And he has plans to do a voice box that he can send commands and make it talk. I'll have to get him on one day to tell a
That's
story. But the story
fantastic.
goes, yeah, the story goes that Alan Tudyk was going to be at a show, and
Mhm.
he spent and you know what it's like. He spent like weeks getting this droid ready, and like the Tuesday of the week that the show was coming, he got sick. Alan Tudyk got sick and had to cancel.
That's a
But,
shame.
yeah, it really was. But you would love it. It is I mean, it looks like it's going to come alive any minute, you
And
know?
hit you in the stomach and tell you to stop resisting.
Yeah. Or smack you on the side of the head, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Alan Tudyk is a national treasure.
Oh, he is so underrated, and he has done
Oh.
so many roles that no one knows he did.
Resident Alien?
I knew he was in that, but do you know he was that Sonny from iRobot,
Is that?
the Will
I did
Smith movie?
not. I did
That's
not with
him.
Will Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. If you really like him, then of course, Firefly. But
Oh
Resident
yeah, of
Alien
course.
has been
He's
a
a
lot of
leaf on the
fun.
wind.
Yeah. Okay. Great choice. So mine better come back strong.
It better.
And my number three is from your boy, Zack Snyder. Okay. It's from 2004, and it also features Ving Rhames. And I'm talking about the squad from
Oh,
Dawn of the Dead.
oh, I didn't even think about that. That's a good
Uh-huh.
one, Jamie. Oh
Anna, Kenneth,
man.
Michael, Andre, Steve, CJ, everybody with different backgrounds, with different motivations to be there, all come together. Well, and I say motivations because she's escaping from that. He's a cop, and so he's been trying to get saving people. You've got the guy and his Russian wife who are seeking asylum because she's pregnant and is going to have the baby. So all of these people have different reasons, motivations behind staying alive, if
Mhm.
that makes any sense. But they all come together, and by and large, at the beginning, they work together as a real good squad. But as it comes to the end of the movie, there's only a few of them left. And I think that's really when the squad goals come out. Once they get into the bus and Ving has the chainsaw, it's on. So you like that, huh? You didn't think about that?
I didn't think about it. That's a good one.
So do you know why it's on my list?
Buzz up.
Because I couldn't put the Walking Dead OG squad on my list. I know, I know. I stuck to the rules, but when I started this, I didn't follow the movie only rule
Mm.
because and then when we started talking about and start which I love to do and start detailing it out to say this is specifically what's going to happen when you wanted to do movies, I was secretly like, damn it. But I sat down, and honestly, I sat down and put zombie squads and look through, and there's because there's a bunch of movies. A lot of times those people, four or five people will get together and they're trapped in a mall or trapped underground or whatever, and they have to work together. um and almost right away, first thing that came up was Creature Commandos, I think, which is on the Max. Great show. It's a lot of fun. DC characters. But boom, picture of Dawn of the Dead came, and I was like, stop looking. That's what I wanted.
That is
And
a
so,
good
you
call.
know,
That's probably one of my favorite zombie movies of all of them.
as well it should be. I mean, there's a lot of good ones though, like Train to Busan, really great zombie movie.
That's a
Shaun
whole
of the Dead.
other. See, Shaun of the Dead is my favorite zombie
Hmm.
movie.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. Okay, well, let's take a breather here. And I know people are dying to know, what is this new secret thing that you have to talk about?
So, in keeping with the most recent topic,
The zombies?
yes, I was
Hmm.
recently involved in a zombie
Hmm.
project
Okay.
that was made possible due to our favorite Bram Stoker Award nominee
Editor.
and editor, Mark C. Sino. We
And now script writer?
a screenplay writer, I
Screenplay
believe.
writer. Okay.
Yeah. So he is involved in a film project, and uh photography is a job that I do. I don't consider photography to be my identity. And I never really, like, I
I
love my
identify as
job.
a kangaroo.
Sure. I love my job, but it's not the whole of my being. My favorite thing in the world when it comes to photography is to capture life as it happens and unfolds in the moment. And I see so many weddings that I can basically tell you what's going to happen. And that's sort of my job, which is a good thing because you need to know how things are going to happen so that you can catch them adequately.
I see you breaking up in 3 months.
Oh, I'd never say that. That's bad for business. Although I have photographed the occasional I do over, which has been
Uh-huh.
interesting to say the least. Um, but so when he told me that this was happening, I asked him, I was like, can I just come to set and do some behind the scenes photos? I thought for sure I'd be there for a couple of days, maybe a couple of hours max per day. No, I put in, I think, a total of almost 30 hours over 3 days photographing.
Wow.
And when I tell you that this just took off. And here's the funny thing. Mark has never really seen my work. And to be honest, most of my friends have never really seen my work, with the exception of Everett. And the only reason Everett has is because Everett's been the subject of one, because I shot his wedding. So for the
No,
most part, no
not
one's
boudoir
really,
photos of Everett.
huh?
Not boudoir photos of Everett.
Not this year.
No, okay.
But but I but so when Mark and I were talking, I was just asking him some basic questions. And he didn't really take it seriously. He was just kind of like, yeah, it'll be cool if you can do that. And then I took some photos and showed them to him, and I think they exceeded his expectations, which I don't imagine were much. And man, he picked him up and ran with him. I can't hear you.
I said, yeah. Well, he has known you for a while.
Hey, look, I might not be that bright, but I am talented. But he saw my pictures, and everybody that he showed them to fell in love with them. And they spawned more projects. And so now we are looking at doing an actual out. We're actually talking about doing a book. Mark is going to write his experiences on set. We're going to interview some of the actors, and we're going to have a showing hopefully soon at a Baton Rouge gallery so that we can actually show some of the work. But, I never thought in a million years that I gave up photojournalism a long time ago because I found it to be emotionally exhausting.
Yeah.
It is the most fulfilling photography that I have done because it felt like I was contributing something, but it was hard. It was very hard work,
Right.
like on the soul. This was hard in a different way. And I'm so glad I did it, and the fact that we are going to be hopefully publishing a book that will have those photos to show what the real experiences were making a small film, because the reality is we barely pulled it together. We
That's the story a
did,
lot of times, to be honest.
right. Well, for sure. But we did 2 weeks worth of shooting in 3 days. And so many things went wrong in order for it to go well. And at the end of the day, man, we were all so proud. I had a picture up on my Facebook page. It's the first time I've posted on my Facebook page since 2022, I think. And it was of Mark crying when he saw his vision come to life. And
Yeah.
dude, it was probably the most vulnerable moment I've ever seen in that man. And I was so proud of him because I could see in his face that, like, he literally saw his vision come to life. And I was so happy for him. And that was an example of what I mean by, like, the rawest of moments. We saw actors going through it, I mean, and these people are not famous, but they are putting in work, man. And stuff that I had never even imagined that they'd go through. I'll leave the details to the book for when it comes out, but it's going to be a good read because it's a side of entertainment that I never thought I'd see personally.
Yeah. Wow.
So
That is awesome, dude.
thank you.
I'm really happy for you.
I am actually trying to come up with a studio name for the presentation of this work because I don't think that my wedding business is going to benefit well from me showing pictures from a movie set of that morose of a nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the only thing that I'm trying to work on right now.
Very, very cool. When do we think we'll see? I keep closing this. When do we think we'll see that?
Well, the photos for the most part are done now. The movie, that's not up to me. I have no clue. They're just now starting post-production to my knowledge. Me
And
and
the
Mark
book?
were the book, that's another question. That's on Mark. He's got to write a whole thing. We had to go back through. I think I took almost 4,000 photos.
Jeez Louise.
Yep. And so I went through, selected around 500 for him to choose from. And then he has to get that down to 200. And then we're going to start doing the gallery thing.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I can't wait for it, man.
I'm
I
glad to hear
cannot
it.
wait. That's super excited. Wow. Anything else going on in your world? Your life?
Not really, not yet. I am, like I was saying earlier, I'm kind of assembling this office to hopefully move forward with a streaming channel where I will be playing Destiny badly.
Uh-huh.
There's so many guys that do it really well. We'll see how shredded I get in the comments.
Yeah. So you gonna what, like take your shirt off and do it, or what's your shtick gonna be?
No, I want to attract people, not make them go
Oh,
away.
okay, okay. Well, yeah, that might work. Keep it on then. Uh,
No, it's just there's a lot of people that are professionals that are like professional e-gamers that play Destiny, and I've learned recently that online gaming communities can be authentically friendly. And it's been a really
oh,
long time
cool.
since I've made friends playing games. And I recently started playing with a friend who's local, and we were playing with a friend of his who is in North Carolina. And I never, it's been so long. I mean, literally since early college years that I had been playing online with people that I kind of forgot that that was a way that you could meet them. And obviously that me and these people aren't going to go out and get drinks and, have a good time. However, there is something to be said for meeting a complete stranger and spending hours trying to accomplish a common goal and having to
Right.
learn how to communicate and the banter that goes on in between. And you can generate some pretty real friendships there. And I look forward to trying to do that more in the future.
Well, cool. Well, cool. Let us know when it happens, man.
You
We'll
got it. I
we'll
will let you know.
we'll let all 19 people know.
I thought it was in the 20s, man.
Yeah, yeah, that was last week.
Ah, yeah.
Hey, by the time it comes out though, it might have gone back up to 23. Who
As long
knows?
as
Shoot for the stars.
yeah, I mean, it's probably because you had on Everett and they were like, oh,
No, they were like, oh, that hair.
he
Oh,
cut off his ponytail, man.
what?
Uh-huh.
Oh man, I haven't seen him for a while. I hope he gave it to like Lawyers for Locks or something like that.
No, I
Yeah.
think Mark was trying to get it so he could just stick it to his forehead.
If it works, let me know because I'm next.
Oh, dude, it was hilarious. Now what's funny is with all of that hair gone, he still looks like he's got the same hair because he always has it in a ponytail. You can't tell.
Oh, okay.
So if you see him from the front, he just looks exactly the same.
That's funny. Oh.
But yep.
Well, okay. Well, I think let's just get ready. Let's jump back in. If you're ready, I'm ready.
All right. Well, so are we gonna do the thing, Jamie?
Yep, you ready?
All
One,
right.
two,
Two,
three.
three.
Penultimate.
Penultimate.
Okay, now look, let's do this. I'm gonna point to my left. You point to your right. I'm sorry, your left, and do this. Penultimate.
Penultimate.
Oh, that's so sad. I just love the fact that you love it so much.
Oh yeah, man. I'm here for a good time.
I went and made some more gifts that say penultimate just so that I could have more just for you.
Uh
Just for
yes.
you. Know that. That's true. That's just for you, Dave.
I appreciate that, sir.
All right. Let's get your penultimate choice of squads on the movies.
My penultimate choice is a violation. So it's
Of course.
hey man, look, I'm going for broke in this episode. So I can't leave it out. It had to make its way on there. The Fast and the Furious franchise. And there are a lot
Why
of
is
huh?
that? Why is that a cheat?
Because there's a lot of them.
Well, that's okay, but don't the lot of, you know what? Make your case.
Okay. So the Fast and the Furious franchise is my number two. And the reason that it's my number two is because it is a movie that isn't just about a squad. It's a movie about why squads can be important. And it's about how squads can be more than squads. The cliche of this movie is that it's not a squad, it's a family. And, people can say what they want and they can snicker at that. There are a lot of people who have to rely on their chosen family. And this is a movie that very much demonstrates that a chosen family can do anything that you need them to if you find the right ones. And not only that, the way that they weave their talents and their compliments to one another. So my favorite character is Han, played by Sung Kang, and easily, and he made his first introduction in the third movie, Tokyo Drift, and he was my favorite because he was always snacking.
Of course, you love the guys that eat food.
It's always the guys that are snacking. It just makes me feel good that I'm always snacking. Um, but they all have a role to play, and these roles are integral, and nobody really gets left out. And everybody does have a job. You have comic relief, you have the brooding badass, and so that was one of the things I found phenomenal. Now, I don't care that they jumped the shark. I don't care that they do stupid things. They did stupid things in the first movie, and the things that they just got dumber as they went. But that's not why I watch these movies. I watch the movies because I like things that go boom, and I like really cool looking cars. And there is a plethora, there's a surplus of that in every film.
So do you like the cars that go boom?
Anyway, I'm ignoring you, Jamie, because I know that song and it's going to get stuck in my head and I'm going to blame you. Um,
And Bunny, and we like the Please continue.
so anyway, and also one of the things that I also love about those movies is that in their infancy, they were about JDM Japanese market cars and muscle cars, and I love both. Nothing warms my heart more than knowing that two of my cars have been in those movies. So I'm just like, yes, I have the best of both worlds. But yeah, so and then as fantastical and as kind of psychotically overblown as they can become, they do still have good moments. They still have moments that feel, I mean, it would be hard to say that they feel dramatic and real because they are kind of silly, but hey, man, for an action movie, they have some pretty sweet moments in those films. And they do try as hard as they can to have serious plot lines. But I mean, let's
Yeah,
let's
it's
just be
like the
honest. We're
giant
here.
rolling boulder that follows them through the town. That happens so often. It's like there should be a whole, group that helps break that up.
I mean, not only that, they have so many cameos in these movies. It is ridiculous. Like Brie Larson, Jason Momoa, Alan Richson. Like I just so many A-list actors. Or I'm just like, okay, guys, Jesus Christ, it's so much. It's so much. The Rock, whatever he was blowing up as an actor, like this is where he got his start. Like he had done some movies decently, kind of maybe, you know, and then he did. This is where he was launched. This like doing the movie. My favorite of all of them was Fast Five, and that is the one where Gal Gadot got her got her launch into the stratosphere. It is where The Rock got his launch into the stratosphere. They were made popular by this franchise. So, people can snicker at it all the live long day, but this is where a lot of those actors got their big break and became movie stars. So,
Right, 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 right. Okay. Well, I've watched some of them, but honestly, I haven't gone through the whole series.
no,
I
I mean,
really, really
there's no real
enjoyed,
need to.
yeah, I enjoyed Hobbs and
Shaw.
uh yeah, Hobbs and Shaw. That was a fun movie because that one they just took the bonkers to a whole nother level and said just this is the world. Look, he's a superhero, you know?
I'm Black Superman. Wow. If there's ever one that I could make a case to watch that's reliably good, it's Fast Five. That's arguably the best one out of all of them. It is the one that brings all of everybody's favorite characters together. It's just the best one. So I would say watch that
Okay, I'll put it on my list. Hold on.
one. All right. Your turn.
Yeah, hold on. I gotta make myself a note.
You can't just remember this, Jamie. Come on, man.
God, I have a whole pad here that I use that
Is that a
when people,
pad?
yeah, it's a tiny little post-it notes. So like, I talked to Jeff the other day and I had to like put a Jeff note, which even though I just put his name, I remember what I have to do. So I'm just gonna put Fast Five, and I'm also going to put Dave Id M. and then I pull it off and I stick it right there. And then later on, I get my binder and it goes into my binder as a note, and then I absolutely forget about it. So my number two um, is a really good squad, I think, even though at the end there weren't very many of them left.
Oh
Um,
my.
yeah, so there was a problem. They got called, they showed up. I'm talking about the Colonial Marines from James Cameron's Aliens.
I knew you were going to
Just
do this. I knew it.
why?
Why
They
did I know
are.
that? Huh?
No, they're awesome.
I don't doubt that. I had a feeling, Jamie. I had a
Okay.
feeling.
Well, it's more than a feeling.
Yeah, it's
All
game
right.
over, man.
Game over. Let's just nuke it and call it even. It's the only way to be sure. Dude, I recently read a four-issue series of What If, and it was what if um um God, what was his name? Burkett had successfully gotten a an alien embryo into one of the people. And it's a really, really interesting story. If you're on Comixology, it's out there. It's
Hmm.
called What If Aliens. So,
All right.
there's not really a whole lot that you can say about these guys that has not been said over and over and over again on web pages and fan groups. Um, an amazing, diverse group of Marines played by some extremely talented people. Some of James Cameron's favorite people, Bill Pullman, Bill
Paxton.
Paxton, is obviously the most memorable, in my opinion, of the group. Jeanette Goldstein is Vasquez. Um, all of them they all bring something different to the group, not just a new weapon. They bring um, just the camaraderie. There's only a couple of people in that group who you think may not be down for the cause, but once the acid starts flying, they've got their buddies' backs, and they're not leaving them. So I just, like I said, I feel on the one hand that they're a great squad. On the other hand, like what, three and a half of them made it out. Too soon?
I mean, nah, but damn. Woo.
Ah.
All
But
right.
all right. So that was my penultimate choice. I am ready to hear your absolute favorite squad. Lay it on me, dude.
It's a Steven Soderbergh film from
Uh,
2017.
oh,
It's called Logan Lucky.
oh, yeah. Okay.
So few people have seen this movie,
Mm-hmm.
and it is easily one of my favorite. Like it's one of my favorite movies, but it is my favorite squad film because I've never seen another one like it. The the dynamic between Channing Tatum and Adam Driver as brothers is so believable. And I mean, believable as guys in the South. I mean, the way that they dress when they wake up, the way that they live, the way that they eat breakfast, the way that they talk to one another, the way that they carry themselves, the way that they speak in general. I mean, dude, I've lived all over the South, and I can name probably half a dozen people that they remind me of in real life, just actually behaving that way. I mean, down to the preferring to eat burnt bacon. Like, it's so believable. And then the best performance that Daniel Craig has ever given, in my opinion, not because it was a technically difficult role, like, you know what I mean, but it was just such an out of the box role for Daniel Craig. And then this movie gets bonus points for me because they turned something that everyone thought was a joke into actual science. The part where they have the bleach pins, the fake salt, and the gummy bears, that's a real do you remember that part whenever they're
No, I'm one of those that has not seen it.
oh
I know,
Jamie.
I know.
Jamie, 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 Jamie. Okay, screw the Fast Five movie. Watch this. This is easily one of my favorite movies. It is magnificent. And the cast in this movie, the way that they behave with one another, it actually is believable. It is such a good film. Katie Holmes is in this, and Katie Holmes is like the, I don't know, she's like the ex who hates her ex-husband, and she gets a man with money, and she's got a little too much makeup on, and her clothes are a little too tight, and her heels are a little too high. And it's just like, oh, I think I went to school with like four girls. It turned out just like that.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with any of that. But
I mean, I don't think that there's a problem with it, but it's just like, I know people like that. So, and I think that's the thing. And oh yeah, and Hilary Swank's in this movie. What's the Family Guy dude's name? Can't hear you, buddy.
I hit it. It was already on Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah, that dude. He's in this movie.
Yeah.
The guy who plays Bucky in the Avengers, Sebastian Stan, he's in this movie. There's so many people in this movie. Soderbergh's really good at getting a bunch of big list actors. But the funny thing is, his wife wrote it. Steven Soderbergh's wife wrote it.
Huh.
And he said that he was retiring from those kinds of films. And then she asked him to do a film of hers, and it wound up being basically Ocean's 11. In fact, in the movie, they actually say the words, people are calling this heist Ocean 7-Eleven because they're a bunch of rednecks. But here's the deal. When you watch this movie, you don't even realize how well they weave the fabric of how they pull off the heist. It's brilliant.
I'm looking at some pictures now. Wow. Yeah, I went to school with some of these guys.
Exactly. Precisely my point. They could be from anywhere between Mississippi and Georgia.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've put it down. I will. Oh, actually, I left. I didn't scratch the other one out. I put Fast Five. I mean, because it sounds so much like Fave Five. I mean, why wouldn't I watch it?
Well, I mean,
Uh,
F5 is its logo, so yeah.
um. Well, man, that's great. I again never seen it, so I'm gonna go and watch it, and I'm gonna respond back and let you know how I feel.
Well, I hope you enjoyed as much as I did.
All right. Well, we'll see.
All right,
Okay.
Jamie,
You ready?
take us home.
My absolute favorite squad comes from the 1979 to 1985 comic book series called Rom the Space Knight.
I don't want to hear any more of your shit,
Yes.
sir.
I love the Space Knights. And yes, they're not in a movie. Yes, they're not even in a cartoon. They're only in comic books. But like I like to say, it's my show, and I'm going to do what I want to do. Many, many, many people have no idea who the Space Knights are. But some of you out there who are ROM pals know what I'm talking about. So 200 plus years ago, the Galdorian race in deep space were attacked by the dire wraiths, a shape-shifting and advanced scientific and sorcery-wielding shapeshifter group that was attacking their planet, going from planet to planet to basically take over the universe. So the Galdorians called out the bravest of their peoples, and they not put them in a suit, but they literally on a molecular level bonded them to armor. And the first and greatest of all Space Knights was Rom, who, spoiler alert, after defeating or fighting back the dire wraiths, comes to Earth as part of a squad of Space Knights that spread out across the galaxy to finish wiping out the dire wraiths.
So I gotta ask, because
Yeah.
the first they're bonded to armor. So is the armor empty?
No, it's kind of almost because it's got all of these electronics and it's got all of this other stuff, but it's not like they take their brain out and stick it in a robot body, and it's not like an Iron Man armor that they put on. Um, Basically, when they go to do this, and they created hundreds and hundreds of Space Knights, each with their own different thing, um, they took their humanity and basically saved it in a box like Terminator bringing roses, um, you know, Terminator 2. Um, and then they're part of this armor. It doesn't come off. It allows them to fly through the 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 vacuums of space, the deep cold, all of this other stuff.
So hear
And so
me out.
they can't take it off.
So you cut off an arm. They bleeding? Are they
No,
sparking? Or is there a gaping hole that goes through the arm?
no, it's there's, and I'll actually put it here to show you. Um, it's like, okay, you know Kitty Pryde from or Shadowcat from the X-Men who can phase through walls.
Yeah.
Okay, imagine that Kitty Pryde phased into a robot, okay, and then stopped and became so it bonded with all of the mechanics and stuff like that. So you would see, I don't think it would bleed. Of course, this was comic books in the 80s, so there's not a lot of blood and guts, but you would probably see skin with components
So a
inside.
cyborg.
Yeah, except you can't sit there and take it all out and come back, and be a human.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
I'm morbidly curious about this because I
Yeah.
feel like somebody had to have gotten maimed at some point.
I wouldn't doubt it, but all of the ones, well, okay, for example, there is um there is a space knight named Firefall, and when Firefall is felled and dies in combat, um the dire wraiths take his armor. When they're able to find another guy who because they're shapeshifters, they can pretend to be the U.S. government. They get a guy from the army, and they're gonna put him in the suit, except it's not truly a suit. And when he wakes up, he finds out that it is a part of him, and he can't go back to being Archie Stryker. So it's kind of like I said, it's you've really put me on the spot, and that doesn't happen often. So no, I'm dead serious. Awesome. That's a great thing. I'm going to put a whole construction up here, from the official handbook of the Marvel Universe, that will show what it looks like inside, and maybe I'll get a better explanation from us.
Hey, dude, I'm actually curious about this. So if you could provide some materials, I'm genuinely curious. I love robots and the whole shtick. So
Yeah,
I'd love to see how this is explained.
you got it. And see it starts off because people think that he's an invading robot because that's what he looks like. He's like 8, 10 foot tall, and he uses a gun that's called a neutralizer. And when he has one device that he can use, and it lets him see if someone is a dire wraith shapeshifter or not. Okay, and then that goes away into limbo, and his neutralizer comes back, and he fires it at them, and it opens a rift into limbo and shoots their ghost into limbo, kind of like a phantom zone. But the remaining dire wraith shape shifted body burns up and leaves ashes. So when he comes to this first town, Clariton, and it's got a bunch of dire wraiths on him, he dispatches them to limbo, but all people see is this big robot using a laser gun that atomizes their fellow townspeople.
Mm-hmm.
And then the remaining dire wraiths, um, who weren't found, are like, "Oh, it's a giant robot. It's killing all of us. We've got to get out of here. Call the military." And so it makes this whole big old thing where he's misunderstood for a long time until eventually it's a great story. It's like 75 issues with four um, annuals. It is definitely my it's if I have to do a Fave Five comic book runs, be hard pressed that it's not going to be number one, two, or three. I would seriously have to sit down and consider which ones it would be. But there you go. That is my favorite squad that, haha, it's not in a movie. Sorry to do it to you, dude. Uh, get your own show and you can do what you want.
Look, this is as close as I'm gonna get.
Well, listen, I want to take a minute to thank David personally. He's always giving me the absolute best advice. He's got me set up here he donated me these two lights, gifted them, I guess you could say. And he takes the time to set me up. He helped me design and told me where to place all of these cool lightings and everything behind me. And maybe in the near future, you're going to see a better look, skin tone and depth wise. Can't do anything about the way that it's shaped. And again, that's all going to be to David. So thank you, sir, for all of the help and your support of the Plastic Microphone Studios.
Happy to help, man.
Thank you. And I want to thank you guys out there for listening to this episode of Fave Five from Fans Favorite Squads. And again, thanks, David, for picking it. Of course, you picked about 12, but still, that's fine. Um, we are thrilled that you all joined us and hope you had a fantastic time. Wordplay. If you enjoyed the podcast, we would absolutely love it and be eternally grateful if you would find us, like us, subscribe to us, follow us, send me a check, whatever it does to make you show your appreciation. I am down for it. I am officially looking for sponsors now. I've received my first sponsorship check. I don't know if I told you this, but I received my first $200 sponsorship. Thank you, Mama. And so yeah, yeah, it's my mom. I mean, come on. I told her what I was doing. She's like, "I'm gonna write you a check." And I was like, "No, I'm fine. I don't need you to." And then 3 days later, "Honey, I wrote you a check. Look, you go and use that where you need." I'm like, "Oh God, okay, I'll take it." So, but seriously, I'm working out another deal with someone else to do something, and I'm really hoping it fits together. I have a really cool idea to actually have them sponsor a new segment of the show.
A new segment of the show. What's that going to be?
So I'm not ready to discuss what it would be on camera,
Okay.
but it would be, if this works out, it would be something very fun, and I will actually have a guest um, sit in for that segment, whether it be, every time for a month or 6 months. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But
Does it
be looking out for
involve
it.
one of these?
It might. I miss it so much. And I do love the fact, okay, I don't know if we talked about this on camera or not. I lost the video card from when we recorded our Fave 5 J.J. Abrams episodes. And I felt so bad, and I looked all over, and I backtracked everywhere, and I couldn't find it. And it ended up being where?
In the runoff drain in front of my door.
How crazy is that? How did it? I don't understand how it came out of my pocket. That just, so anyway, so I'm gonna get that footage, and we're gonna have that episode out soon-ish. But if you're hankering for a hunk of David, don't forget we just released our fringe episode of Complete Disarray with Jamie Ray, which was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. It was,
I loved it.
mm, it's still good. Um, so don't forget
Oh,
to connect with us on social media platforms like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, all of them. Just threads even. Um, Send us a message. Just let us know what's going on in your part of the world and get the conversation going. And let's just make the podcast world, the universe that we're all in, more vibrant and exciting than ever. Thank you, all of you, David too, for being a part of this journey. New episodes come out every Friday,
unless they don't.
so be sure to subscribe and follow us so that you can catch all of the episodes. And remember, folks, it may not be the best. It may not be the most popular, but if it's your favorite, then it's good enough for us. Thank you for joining us. David, take us out of here.
Thanks for another one, guys. Look forward to seeing you again.
Aww.